We are live here on Soulfire. Hello, my name is Christopher. I'm the AstroMedium and your host, intuitive astrologer for tonight's weekly cosmic forecast and energy update. We are going to look at the astrological energies for the week of March 21st through the 27th. So we have been in a lot of dreamy states here recently, and I'm going to say that that's most likely coming from all of this Pisces energy. We had a lot of Aquarius energy back in February that we were building a lot of momentum off of, and then we went into all of this Pisces energy, which took all those new realizations, all those thoughts about the future, all of these new ideas. We took them into the astral plane. We took them to the next step. We got more connected. We got more connected to our higher selves, spirit, to what we truly are down at a cellular level. And now we're going to start coming back into our body as the sun is going to enter Aries here in a couple of days, and then Venus is going to follow suit. So we've got a huge shift in the energy fields that are coming our way. So for those of you who are like, oh no, I've been loving all this relaxation, all of this being lazy, just wanting to escape everything, just not having a lot of energy and being okay with it because I really don't even know what I want to be doing with my life anyway right now. Well, that's about to change. Mars has entered Gemini, so we're getting scattered. We're feeling a little scattered in our physical energy, but it's about to be refocused. So we have some major astrological energy signatures that are coming our way here in the next week. So let's start with Sunday, March 21st. This is the spring equinox. It's also the first quarter moon in Cancer. So we're going to be about a fourth of the way through our next moon phase cycle. And the moon is going to enter Cancer at 8:18 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the moon is going to bump up against a couple planets that day. And I want you to be mindful this upcoming week that the moon, always a catalyst and an activator, but she's taking her role a lot more seriously, and she is specifically following these larger energy signatures and activating them day by day. So what I mean by that is we've got these energies like Saturn square Uranus or Mars trine Saturn. These energies are larger. These planets are larger energy structures, and they carry with them much broader energies, and their conversations create larger, more expansive energy experiences. You can put it that way. And the moon activates them and brings them up from our subconscious experience into the conscious experience and gives us a real feeling about it and an emotional response to it. So the moon is going to make a quincunx to Pluto on Sunday. That's going to cause some extreme emotional reactions, feeling a little disempowered. That's not going to feel too great, especially as the moon then makes a challenging 90-degree angle to Venus. And that's very important because that's going to activate something for us. So the moon square Venus can definitely bring up some relationship issues and some tips in relationships, but also just feeling disconnected from things. And this is going to be really odd because this is the day that Venus enters Aries. And this is very exciting because the sun just entered Aries the day before, and Venus said, okay, I'm doing it too, and I'm going to join this Aries party. So it's going to feel like a light switch has gone off, like you were just awakened from a deep slumber by a drill sergeant, or a really loud alarm clock. And for some of us, it's exciting. We've been waiting for this new day to come. We've been waiting for spring. We've been waiting for warmer weather. We've been waiting to feel that excitement and that positive expectation and that momentum, that push forward that we get from spring and moving into this new year, because this is the new year. And Venus is going to be joining the party as well. So we've got a lot of new, it's beginnings. Aries rules the first house, which is beginning. So it feels like something new is happening and something is beginning again for us. And the moon is triggering that for us that day. Now there's going to be some interesting conversations happening, interesting, different, weird out there as Mercury makes a sextile, which is a 60-degree angle to Uranus. And I'm going to talk more about that larger energy signature later in the video. And Mars is going to be making a trine to Saturn. And we've been needing this. Trines are powerful. They're positive. They're easy flowing. And we have needed this good conversation between the god of war and the lord of karma. We've really been needing that extra push and that extra resiliency. And now we're getting that, especially as Mars, that energy has been scattered because it's in Gemini. So now let's move to Monday, March 22nd. The moon, this is a moon ruled day, which means the moon is going to have most of the conversations going on. And although we'll still be sitting in that Mercury sextile Uranus energy and still be sitting in that Mars trine Saturn energy, because they last for several days, and Mars trine Saturn several weeks, we are still going to be sitting in those energies, but the moon takes a hold and really gives us the tone for the day. And she's going to be bumping up against a lot of planets that day. Some of them good conversations, some of them difficult ones. So we're going to start with the moon making a sextile to Uranus and Lilith. So there's some rebellious energy. There's some breaking free of something. Sextiles are not automatically activated, but they're still positive. So there's a potential for that. There's a potential to feel more empowered as well. Now, the moon is also going to make a powerful trine to Mercury. So we're going to feel really clear about the things that we're wanting and the things that we want to do next. And all this newness, there's a good clarity. There's clear mind that comes from that. But the moon is also going to make a square to Chiron. So there's going to be some emotional triggers come up for you at that time. But the moon's quincunx to Saturn on the same day, and that's a 150-degree angle. That quincunx is going to trigger the Saturn square Uranus energy that's happening right now, and the Saturn sextile Chiron energy. And what that means is we're being supported at this time and in this year between the conversation between Saturn and Chiron to put in more work to our healing journey and get more rewards and results out of our healing practice from the work that we're doing. So Monday is going to activate that for us. So something will be triggered, but something's going to be called for you to work through and see differently. Now let's move to Tuesday. This is March 23rd. The moon is going to enter Leo at 5:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for half of the day, you're going to be filled with this moon in Cancer energy, and the moon loves being in Cancer. She rules Cancer, but then she's going to take a trip into Leo, the sign that the sun rules. And this is going to switch up the energy. This is going to add more fire to this already burning spark that Aries brings in. But the moon is going to make, again, some challenging conversations and angles, and then some really benevolent, powerful, and positive conversations. So the moon is going to make an opposition to Pluto on Tuesday. That is going to feel intense, extreme. There can be manipulation, control, jealousy. There's abuse that can come from moon opposite Pluto, emotional abuse. So we want to be mindful how we're using our emotions and how we're using our energy to affect other people. And especially because the moon is going to make a trine to Venus and Neptune. So we're already going to feel more heart opening. We're going to feel more connected. We're going to feel more generous. We're going to feel more empathic. And that's going to, for some of us, that's going to open us up to be receiving some of this really intense, not just abuse, but emotional wear and tear that can come from the moon opposite Pluto. The moon is also going to make a quincunx to Jupiter, so there's a tendency to feel a little cocky and feel a little bit like we've got everything figured out. So we want to be careful, especially as the moon enters Leo, how overly confident we are and how we're treating others that day. And we want to be extra mindful of this because Mercury is making a 90-degree angle square to Mars. And Mercury square Mars, this is happening again. We've already experienced this just a few weeks ago, but Mercury square Mars, I'm going to talk more about this later in the video. It's heated debates, it's arguments, it's lashing out in anger and frustration in conversation and within our daily routine. So we'll go more in depth into that. Now let's move to Wednesday, March 24th. This is another moon ruled day. The moon will be in Leo for the entire day. The moon is going to make just about every angle that it possibly could make. So from a square to a trine to a conjunction to an opposition to a sextile to a quincunx, the moon is going to have one of these conversations that day. So it's going to feel a little bit chaotic and a little bit restless and very overwhelming in certain ways. So moon is going to make a square to Uranus, and this is going to cause a lot of agitation, feeling like we're stuck, feeling like we're wanting to break free of something. And as the moon makes a trine to Chiron, this is going to give you an opportunity to heal something and break free of something and take a chance and say, shut the hell up to your insecurities and do it anyway. The moon is also going to make a sextile to Mars, which will activate that Mercury square Mars energy, which is not bad. It can cause arguments, But in moon sextile Mars it's a powerful opportunity for you to put more action into something, to walk the walk and really add more energy to something that you care about. Now, the moon will also be making an opposition to Saturn, and that is a very lonely, isolating energy field that is emitted by that conversation, if you want to put it that way. But moon opposite Saturn can cause us to feel overwhelmed by all of the responsibility. So on Wednesday, and with the quincunx to Mercury as well, the moon's going to be making pretty much every angle. So there's confusion, there's feeling stuck by something, there's holding ourselves back because we don't think that we're good enough and we're being too hard on ourselves, and that's causing loneliness, isolation. There's wanting to put more energy into proving ourselves that day. But overall, there's an energy of healing. How can you reward yourself, and how can you take a chance and break free even though you feel insecure or you feel like you may not make it? That's very important because we are building up this week to this full moon energy. So now let's go to Thursday, March 25th. And this is when you're really going to start to feel that full moon energy come into effect. The full moon in Libra is going to be powerful. It's going to pull us in a couple different directions. It's really going to, it's an archetypal me versus them. And that is going to be very unsettling for some people, but very transformative in a lot of ways, very eye-opening. Venus is definitely one of the stars coming up. We have a lot of Venus energy as she rules Libra coming into the forefront. Now on Thursday, the moon will enter Virgo at 11:25 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we have another day that is pretty much fully moon in Leo. Excuse me. And the moon is going to make a quincunx to Neptune and Pluto. So that's confusing. That is extreme in some ways and disjointing. So there's going to be a heaviness to Thursday, even before the moon enters Virgo, because moon in Virgo can be kind of heavy in certain ways too. But the moon is going to make an opposition to Jupiter. So there's some pessimism that can come about from that, but there's also, again, overdoing things, things that we're doing in excess. And there's already some negativity and some pessimism going around because Mercury has now made its way to 14 degrees of Pisces at this point and is going to make a square to the North Node. No. This is hard. We've received a lot of support from the North Node the past couple of months. Jupiter making a trine to the North Node. Mars is currently sextile, or Mars having a conversation with the North Node. All three trines that Mercury made to the North Node. There has been a lot of mental focus and a lot of eyes, not just on the future, but what are we here for? What's my purpose? Neptune, the planet of illusions, has been squaring off with the North Node for most of 2021 and has now backed away from the North Node enough to where we're off of that energy. That caused a lot of confusion for us. That made people not really sure about their path. It's almost like you're moving down a path. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, but there's this intense fog in your way. You're really not able to make progress or move forward because you feel more in a daze, and that you're not sure if you're moving in the right direction. And this Mercury square North Node, although Neptune has backed off, is going to bring some of those themes back up to the surface for us. And I'm going to talk more about that later in the video. Now let's go to Friday, March 26th. This is going to be another confusing moon day, but this is a very important day, and there's a very large energy signature that's somewhat rare, and I am so excited for this event as it represents so much that I'm trying to heal at this time. It is heart-opening, but the moon is going to make a quincunx to Venus. Please be mindful that Venus is the star of this large energy signature, so the moon is activating this in some way. The moon is also going to make a quincunx to Saturn. That's going, again, that can cause some confusion. There are things that we will come to the conclusion of, and some things that will come to us consciously, or will come up for us, that we need to be mindful of in a long-term sense. We need to pay attention to it and look at it from a more realistic vantage point. Now, the moon's going to make a very powerful trine to Uranus. That's going to electrify this day. It's going to give us an opportunity to do something new and to break free of old emotional patterns and old programming in a way that we haven't before as our hearts seek to open. Now, moon is going to make a square to Mars as well. So there's some That's going to activate that Mercury square Mars energy, which we will still be sitting in. It'll just be moving out of reception, but we'll still be sitting in that energy. And that is going to trigger some reactiveness, responding without thinking, frustration, anger, even some rage may come up for you. And this will definitely come up for you within your relationships. And the reason that relationships are going to take on a strong focus is because as the sun moves into Aries and then Venus follows suit, Aries rules the first house. Aries is known as the most selfish sign because it rules the house of the self and the ego, the body, being in the body. So we're coming back into the body. We're coming back into form. We have a central consciousness. We're realizing that we're a self. You're an other. I'm me. You're you. That's Aries energy, that differentiation between another and yourself. And Venus, the planet that seeks to unite and relate you to everything and to give things value and what you take pleasure from as well. She covers a lot of territory. She is also going to be in Aries. And on March 26th, the Sun and Venus are going to form an exact conjunction, and this is known in astrology as Venus STARPOINT. And Venus rules Libra, the opposite sign of Aries. So this Venus STARPOINT in Aries phenomenon is going to trigger a lot of relational pattern issues to come to the surface. It's going to cause a lot of desires that have been sitting and lying dormant to surface, things that you really want. And there's a lot of love that wants to come out. There's a lot of heart chakra opening that wants to burst forth like a volcano. But we first have to reevaluate things, and there are things that may come up that we're not ready for as the light of the sun just burns through Venus and also imbues us with a central consciousness that also then has a focus on the central consciousness of others. And this is going to be just within a 24-hour period of the full moon in Libra phenomenon and experience that will happen shortly after. So I will talk more about Venus STARPOINT later in the video, but let's first cover another energy signature. So the full moon in Libra is not going to happen until about 2 a.m.-ish on March 28th. So it's not technically part of this week, but you will, during this Venus STARPOINT experience, you will be feeling that full moon in Libra energy build up, but the moon will not have entered Libra yet. So on Saturday, March 27th, the moon will be in Virgo the entire day in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. The moon is going to make an opposition to Mercury and Neptune. That's going to cause confusion. That's going to cause another fog to roll in right before the storm. And this is really unusual because there's going to be more clarity in certain ways. Remember, the moon is activating. So the moon's opposition to Mercury causes confusion, but that opposition to Neptune makes us suspicious and paranoid, not know who to trust, and really hypersensitive to a lot of the stimuli that we're taking in. But the moon is going to make a very powerful trine, this beautiful 120-degree angle to Lilith. So moon opposite Mercury, moon trine Lilith. The moon is also going to make a trine to Pluto. So there's some fearlessness, there's some empowerment, there's something that we are going to be transformed through, especially as Mercury makes his supportive sextile to Lilith. So on Saturday, we're going to finish off the week really beautifully with a confusing moon ruled day where we'll be in some moods. There's going to be some interesting misunderstandings that may ensue, but there's also going to be a way in which we communicate that is fearless and also represents more of our internal truth. And bearing it all with Mercury sextile Lilith, there's a open book, there's a take it or leave it. In this conversation, I'm going to give you how I'm actually feeling about it, and I'm not afraid what you think about it. And I don't mind standing out and having my own viewpoint. And this is very important. All these energies are building up to a very specific event. This full moon in Libra is going to be powerful. It has not consequences, but it has rewards, and it has residual energies that it will leave you with, whether you consciously perform a ritual or not. You're going to have a response to this full moon. And this full moon is all splitting you between you and the self and them and the other, and your relationships are going to come to the forefront. So now let's talk about Venus. Venus has been in Pisces for a very short period of time, and Venus loves being in Pisces because Venus gets to connect on a spiritual level. Venus was so excited to go into Pisces because Venus in Aquarius, she's not able to connect. She's a little disconnected and disjointed. But Venus in Pisces, wow, what a beautiful energy to be sitting in, that's heart opening. Venus and Neptune coming together. Venus made a conjunction to Neptune because Neptune is in his ruling sign of Pisces. That again opened the heart, made us more generous, made us also want to indulge and escape, because Venus is all about enjoying things, taking pleasure in things. And Pisces and Neptune, that's the escape artist. Pisces escapes reality because it's too harsh down here. And Venus, while she's in Pisces, her heart is more open, but her antennas are more wired to receive. She is much more receptive of her partners and her loved ones' emotional states and their needs. She's very attentive to their needs and knows what they want. Things are a little hard for her, though. She tends to give more than she receives because she feels like maybe it'll pay off in the end in some way. And she knows that if her partner feels good, she'll feel good because she's an empath when she's in Pisces. Now, shit's about to get really different. Venus is saying, oh, the sun's about to go into Aries. This is going to start the year off with a bang. Aries is the big bang. I want a little bit of piece of that. I'm so sick and tired of talking about all these other people, and I am so overstimulated when in Pisces. I have been through a lot. I just went through so many different phases. I'm ready to start over again. I'm ready to let go of other people's energy, and I'm ready to focus on me. Screw all these people. I'm breaking up with you. I'm breaking up with you. I'm focusing on me, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. I'm going to enter Aries, and I'm going to be a little bit more confident too, because I'm more focused on myself. I don't necessarily function well in Aries. I want to relate to others, and I'm in the sign that is opposite the sign that I rule. So Venus doesn't function at her most optimum speed and functionality in Aries, but this gives us an opportunity to turn that focus inward. We're giving a lot of things to a lot of people, but what are you giving to yourself? And Venus in Aries is going to reveal that to you. Self-love, self-valuing the self. Your value systems will change. It's no longer about how you're connecting and how someone else is feeling. It's about how you're feeling. Are you getting your needs met? Are you experiencing and enjoying life just because you want to? Aries is a very childish energy. It is the first sign, and it represents almost kind of like a newborn baby. This curiosity, this excitement, this passion, this volatility to the emotions as well. Crying and anger and frustration and not wanting to be in control of everything, but not being in control of anything, but just kind of blustering around and being real physical. And this is very Aries energy. Aries is passionate, wants to move quick, loves to be in love. So while Venus is in Aries, our hearts are on fire. We really feel like we want to express that love. We want to show the love to other people. We don't just want to feel it. We don't just want to connect. Actually, we don't even care about connecting. I don't care if this is really that real. I just want to act like I'm in love. So there's a lot of dating that will happen when Venus is in Aries. A lot of people want to get out there and make love and have some passionate sexual experience as well. And we need this. We need this right now. Now, another conversation that's happening on the same day, which is very interesting, is Mercury sextile Uranus. And Uranus is all about something new happening, something innovative, something rebellious. Let's go against the old ways. And it's interesting because speaking of the old ways, Saturn is part of a major conversation on the same day. So it's really interesting if you put the pieces together. Venus is entering Aries, which is starting something new. What the hell? Which is starting something new. And Venus is in the sign that Mars rules. Mars is making a trine to Saturn, and Saturn is restrictive and conservative. And Mercury is making a sextile to Uranus, which is breaking free of that restriction and moving in a progressive way. So we have energies that are new. They're breaking us free of something. We're coming to new ideas. We have new desires being born, and Mars is finally receiving some loving support from Saturn. And Saturn doesn't usually give loving support. He gives hard support. His love is hard, it's tough, it's rough, and he doesn't want to make you feel good about it. He wants you to do the right thing, the adult thing, the mature thing. And Mars was in Aries last year and Saturn was in Capricorn. So Mars and Saturn were in a square. And then when Mars went into Taurus and Saturn was in Aquarius, they were also in a square. So we experienced 3 squares between Mars and Saturn in 2020 and 2021. And that caused a lot of restriction. It slowed the energy down. When Mars was in Aries, it was moving at optimum speed, but then it went retrograde. Mars was retrograde for a long time, which slowed the pace down. And then Mars was direct again, but then went into Taurus, which slowed the pace down again. And now Mars is in Gemini. This is exciting energy. Mars, his energy is like a firework. It splits off into a million different directions. We are starting projects and not finishing them. We're having many projects going on at once. We're wanting to multitask. We are getting more impatient and restless, and this is causing some anxiety for some and some burnout for other people. And we want to conserve this energy because it's kind of going out and it's scattering out, and there's a lot of things not really getting done. Saturn is saying, okay, let me support you a little bit, Mars and Gemini. Let me give you some really firm, solid foundation to do your scattered work on. So at least something gets accomplished and we're moving in a direction that's more long-term, beneficially long-term. Now, we want to look at this Mars trine Saturn as a gift. It is something that you could move through and not really notice the benefits of, except that you have more energy and you have more resiliency. It gives you more strength to see something out. Even when you're bored, you can continue because the long-term reward is appealing to you more. This is exciting, as a lot of this is energy that we've been needing at this time because we've been on the couch, we've been in the TV show, we've been out in nature, we've been obsessed with our relationships, we've been escaping in a lot of ways. A lot of old habits have been resurfacing, lots of feeling like, oh, I don't have energy for this, I don't want to do this, I just want to escape, I just want to get out of reality, I just want to relax and take it easy for a while. And while you still deserve that, and you're going to feel a lot of that with this Venus and Aries star point energy. You're going to want to give to yourself, but you're actually going to want to do something about it. There's experiences that you've been wanting to have that you're now going to get to have because now you've got more energy and more motivation to get out there and do it. But let this come to you. Don't rush it. Aries can come in like a gust of wildfire. It's a spark. And I liken Aries to a spark because it is a cardinal fire sign. And cardinal meaning leadership, actually initiatory. The cardinal signs begin the seasons. They are a gust of wind or an avalanche or a spark in the fire category, where Leo is a burning, slow, steady fire and Sagittarius is a traveling wildfire. Aries is the spark that begins the entire zodiac. So this big bang is about to happen, and Venus says, I'm going to take a little bit of piece of that. But Mercury says, well, I've got work to do as well. And who rules Aries? Mars. So Mercury says, well, let me fuck around with Mars a little bit, okay? So we're going to experience our third and final square between, for a long time at least, between Mercury and Mars. And this is going to happen on Tuesday, the 23rd. Although it goes 0 degrees on that day, you're going to start feeling the effects of that on Saturday, the 20th. So the day that the sun enters Aries, Mercury is going to come into resonance with this square with Mars. And this is going to build up a lot of impatience, a lot of mental impatience, frustration. There's not a lot of diplomacy going on when Mercury squares Mars. There's arguments, there's debates, there's wanting to prove something. Squares are already where the two planets are trying to dominate each other's energy. So Mars is very dominating energy and he will win. So ultimately with this Mercury square Mars, we're going to have some conversations that may come up to a boil, or there are some frustrations that surface. This is good. There's a lot of hot, steamy energy that's coming from Mars at this time, especially as he rules the sign that is about to take center stage. And all that energy has to come out in some way. So you can channel that energy and you can have some very constructive debates, but be mindful that you may want to prove yourself, and people will be sitting in their ego a lot, and this will cause tempers to rise. Now, Mercury is not done. He is really in the mood to get us to see things in a different way this week. And then he moves to 14 degrees of Pisces on the 25th and makes a square to the North Node. Well, we've received a lot of support from the North Node the past month and a half or so. Mercury, because of his retrograde in Aquarius, he made a trine to the North Node 3 times. And we've already experienced Jupiter making a trine to the North Node, lots of North Node energy happening right now. And the North Node, although in different astrological texts and teachings, the North Node, or Rahu as it is known in Vedic astrology, is in unstable energy and can cause confusion and is the dragon's head. And I prescribe to and I feel the energy of the North Node as the trajectory of the soul, as the aspect of us that came here as a soul and what it intended to do within this lifetime. So there is a soul alignment energy around the North Node, or Rahu, which is a node or an energy that relates to the moon. So there's also a subconscious aspect to the North Node. And within the subconscious is your Akashic records. And that's where all of your past and future lives exist. So there is something to be said about where that teaching came from. And in a lot of more scientific or I don't want to say mundane, but more scientific or traditional types of astrology, I am a spiritual or metaphysical astrologer. I feel these energies in the physical realms, but I also witness, see, and prescribe to their benefits from the non-physical or spirit realms, and how we are moving through astrology as a way to grow as a soul and evolve in that way. It is a blueprint. It is a obstacle course in which we set into motion upon our birth to create certain outcomes and experiences that the soul will have as leverage to advance its energetic trajectory. Bam! Now, what I want to talk about with the North Node and this square to Mercury is we've kind of deserved this, okay? Because all of these trines that we've experienced really gifted us with a lot of understanding and more understanding of where we're going. And we're getting a little ahead of ourselves sometimes. You have a lot of desires that are being born and a lot of impulses to change things about your life. It's not time. There are lots of things that you're manifesting and lots of seeds being planted at this time, but you have to start laying the foundation down first before you can have that house. Where's the lot? Where's the foundation? There's a lot of things you want that do not have legs to stand on yet, and that's what Saturn is doing. Saturn and Uranus are having a very important conversation right now, and they will throughout the rest of the year. They're making a square to each other, really trying to get each other to break free or to hold back. So that causes a lot of tension within us. And underneath all of that, Saturn is making a sextile to Chiron. So there's a lot of healing that's coming about this year, a lot of rewards from the healing work we've been doing, and a lot more discipline in the healing work. But there's also a soul mission that we as light workers, starseeds, empaths, sensitive people, intuitive people, spiritual people, if you want to put it that way, we are really feeling like there's got to be a reason that all of this is happening, and we're experiencing these major ascension symptoms, and we're going through things. We're definitely going through processes of spiritual awakening and dark nights of the soul, and there's got to be a reason for all of this. And the North Node is pulling us, and there is a thread, there's a string that's pulling us. There's a reason for all of this. And that square from Mercury to the North Node, it's short-lived. You're going to start feeling that around Monday, the 22nd, you'll start to feel that, and it'll fade out by March 3rd, March 4th. You're not feeling that energy necessarily at all, but what it made you come to the conclusion of, or the type of experience it led you into, is important. And that experience is feeling lost. You cannot, that's why they put rats in a maze. You cannot get out of something that isn't designed to get out of. That sounds really ridiculous, but this obstacle course, this virtual reality, you designed certain dead ends and you designed certain obstacles that you would have to move around, move through, or move over. And that was part of the fun. That was part of the reason you came here. That's why you decided to incarnate, to have this. There's a reason why you enjoy playing board games, video games. There's something you can figure out. Well, your soul, that's a much higher energy. So it may not be, well, I just want to become human so I can get down there and like just figure something out. That's very human of us for us to think of it that way. But there is an energetic response. Every experience you are having here is sending a signal back to source. And as that signal is received, a signal is put out because you are source and it is you. So it is a synergistic, symbiotic experience of you being down here on the ground, coming to all these conclusions at all times, and all of that sending feedback to source and it sending more energy to create more. It's a beautiful thing. And the North Node is what aligns us with what we have intended to do in that regard and why we came here. Now, speaking of desires being born, there's a lot that's coming to light for us at this time. And Venus is a misunderstood planet. And when I encounter people talking about Venus, they usually talk about love and relationships. And although she very much has a lot to do with that, this is the planet of pleasure, money, relational properties, and value. The more you value something, the more you love it. The more value you place on something, the more you desire it or want to possess it. That's why Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Taurus is how we relate to everything in our physical environment, what we want, what is ours, what belongs to us, how it feels to the physical body. Libra is, what's that other person doing over there? What do they think of me? And what do I think about it? And how are we functioning together as this organism, as these scales that are constantly seeking to find balance and adjustment through that? So Venus is triggering a lot for us right now, and our value systems and our relationships are coming to the forefront. There's a big light being shined on it at this time as the sun. Now, this event doesn't happen very often. So, and I love that it happens every 9.5 months. Venus star point happens every 9.5 months, which kind of correlates to how long it takes to have a child, because Venus star point in Aries brings a lot of strong sexual energy with it as well, but primal creative energy, new energy that wants to express itself, which is coming from that heart and the sacral chakra mixed together. Now, here's the thing about Venus. Venus rules Libra, and Libra is the sign of the other. Libra rules the 7th house of partnerships, relationships, contracts, not just romance. That's really the 5th house. We're talking about mother, daughter, boss, associate, teacher, student. These are all 7th house relational issues and relational experiences. Now, Libra is the opposite sign of Aries. So Venus is in the sign that is opposite of its domicile. And this is interesting because Venus star point, this happens in a lot of different signs, but Venus star point in Aries is really pointing you back at yourself. Aries rules the self and is known as the most selfish sign because it rules the house of the self. Not because it doesn't care about others, it is just supremely focused on being an organism of independent ego and self. Venus in Aries already comes with this energy of wanting things from others and how it feels to me. What can you do for me? I want to rule this relationship. This is about me. I take this relationship personally. Now the star point, the sun and Venus are on the same page, and the sun and Venus are often in the same sign, but they do not often form a conjunction to where they are in the exact same point. And this means that there is an alignment between Earth, Venus, and the sun. So there is a synchronization of the heart, the mind, and the consciousness. There is a lot of soulmate activity that may come up at this time as well. There are desires that want to come to light, and this is around you. What do you want to do as a specific being? What do you want as a singular organism? What would you be without your relationships? Would you still be okay? Would you still be you, even though you didn't have other beings around you to bounce your ideas off of or to project your insecurities on? Maybe Venus star point is giving you an opportunity to view what makes me me, and what do I want, and who am I without other people, and what is love? Does love exist if there's no one there to love or receive love from? The answer is yes. And Venus is not necessarily about love. Love is the ever-present God source energy that flows through everything. Venus is how you channel that energy into a relationship and a partnership, and how you value things. Because the more you value it, the more you see it from the perspective of source or the creator. Once you know something's worth, once you know your own worthiness, you are seeing yourself through the eyes of your higher self. Thus, you're resonating and you feel emotions of elation, joy, bliss, satisfaction, and appreciation. That's you vibrating at the frequency of your inner being, as Abraham would put it. So this is all about the self and giving more love to yourself, which you have not been doing. Okay? You all have definitely been giving a lot of yourself to other people in hopes that it would come back, or that's your modus operandi. Let me give everything to you. And that way, if I don't get what I want back, I can blame it on you. And it's also my way of being able to put all my cards out on the table. That way, if I do get hurt, I can either play the victim, or I can require more of you and have leverage and control over you, because look at what I've given you. And there's also an aspect of unworthiness. Let me give you everything and not expect anything, because I love you, but why would you love me? That's imbalance. And speaking of imbalance in relationships, that's what's going to come to the forefront as we move closer to the full moon in Libra, which will occur in the wee hours of the morning of March 28th, which is Sunday. That's going to really call for a question and an answer. Who are you more focused on at this time, yourself or others? And is either one good or bad? How are you feeling about that? Are these relationships that you're currently giving your energy to in your life right now, are they giving energy back? Are they sustaining you? Are they making you feel whole? Are they making you feel confident, safe? There's a lot of things that are going to come up to the surface for you. And how much attention have you been giving other people so that you could ignore yourself and ignore the trauma that's clawing its way to the surface, and ignore all of the desires that you have that you're afraid of because it would call you to do something about it? That's another thing. And right before that full moon, Mercury is going to give you an opportunity to look real deep into things and look at the shadow or dark side of something. A sextile is positive, but it's not as powerful as a trine, and sextiles are not automatically activated. You do have to do something. So Mercury sextile Lilith is a gift for you right around the time of the full moon in Libra, which helps you to get real and helps you to communicate how you're feeling and not be afraid of what someone else is going to think. Because Libra is known for being a people pleaser, because it must maintain the balance of whatever relationship or dynamic is happening at that time, or it gets all out of sorts. Okay? All right, everybody. So there's a lot of big energies coming your way. There's a huge shift in the energies. We're going to move out of the water into the sunny beaches of spring. Aries is here. Venus star point is gifting you with a beautiful opportunity to blossom into this spring focused on you and what you want. And that's what we need right now. If any of you have any questions for me or would like to reach out to me or find me, of course, you can go to my website, www.christophermedium.com. And that's Christopher with a Y, CHRYSTOPHER. Also, I accept love donations if you feel called. This is the work that I do. And if you are resonating and you love my content, I gladly accept love donations if you are called to, and that is through Venmo, and you can find that link on my Instagram. And if you're not already following me on Instagram and TikTok, you absolutely should be at the@astromedium. Again, that's the@astromedium. And if you'd like to book a reading with me, I am a psychic medium and intuitive astrologer and medical intuitive. So we can cover a lot of bases in our readings together, and I am passionate about what I do. So please work with me. I would love to connect with you. You can go to my website. Again, that's www.christopherwithayMedium.com to book a reading. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has resonated with you and that you can navigate these energies with more ease. I will see you all next week here on Soulfire, a virtual spiritual arts center only on Facebook at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. Love you all, and I'll see you all next week.